Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Chiomah Mama, and today we're going to have another great conversation with me and a friend called Funmi Hassan. Funmi, welcome to Conversations
Thank
with
you so
Chiomah.
much for having me, Chiomah.
Great to have you here. And if this is your first time of joining, this channel, please do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. If you've also been here before, still do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. One of the things I want to encourage women to do is to not to forget that despite all the many hats that we wear, I for one am an author, I'm a policy lawyer, I do a whole lot of things, I'm a parenting coach. I have so many different expressions, but one of the favorite ones I have is being a mother to my 4 children, and I always want to make sure that no matter what, they are not left behind. They are taken care of, and that I'm raising them to the best of my ability. And I want to encourage all of us parents to do the same, and that's why I have these sessions on YouTube to just encourage us all on ways we can parent better and learn from each other. And today, Funmi is going to talk to us about something that is very important, especially for us women. Funmi, tell me about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, who am I? Just like yourself, I have many expressions. So I think I'll start by saying I'm a lover of God.
Okay.
I'm a wife. I'm a working mom. Well, working outside the home, because all moms are working moms.
True.
Yes, I'm a working mom of 2 lovely girls. And I'm also a lifestyle change coach. So what does that mean? So basically, I teach people how to make lifestyle changes. So health-wise, nutrition, fitness, to promote health and well-being, basically. So I think those are the hats I wear.
Okay, awesome. So one thing that we notice a lot, especially with mothers, especially mothers of today, back in the day, you have a child, it's time to start wearing your buba and buba straight because it's okay, you've had a child. But today, you need to be snatched at every point in time. You need to snap back immediately. Everybody, there's this, societal, expectation that look, your body's going to go back to normal. I see a lot of people giving themselves a lot of undue stress. They can't wait. In fact, a lot of people are doing all sorts of things to make sure that their bodies are perfect. And I'm also wondering, really, who defines perfection in the first place? But I want to talk about healthy choices. Yes, it's normal. You go through the process, you have a baby. Even as you age, even if you don't have children, as you're aging, your body goes through changes. Your metabolism might slow down. You might pile on the weight. What are the things we can do, the safe things we can do to help our bodies? Not so much about losing weight, but even to just be healthy.
Yeah, that's great question, and I think that's where my passion is really. One, I like the issue you talked about, when people talk about snapping back. So we have this snapback mentality. So you have a baby and people are already looking at you, like while you are even pregnant, you have people come up and say, you've added weight. And I'm like, what exactly were you expecting? Like, it is a normal process. And I think I like to tell women that a lot. Piling up weight while you're pregnant is your body's own way of safeguarding your life and the life of your baby. So you can imagine years back when food was not so available, the body designed a system that when you are pregnant, it goes into fat storage mode because it knows that it now has the responsibility not only of keeping you alive, also another life alive. So the process of adding weight while you are pregnant is completely normal. In fact, if you go to the hospital and you are not gaining weight whilst you are pregnant, it is a health, becomes a health concern. So that's one. So it's normal to pile on the weight. And then 2, once you have the baby, like by virtue of what I do, you have people come to me and they say, for me, it's 3 months now, I want to snap back. And I'm like, it took you 9 months to build this child, to get to where you are now. Give yourself time. And now I always tell people as well, postpartum weight loss, it hits differently because you are now dealing with so many other things. For one, you are dealing with sleep deprivation, which is once you start to sleep less, obviously, your body goes into fat storage mode. There are things that happen within your hormones. So you are dealing with sleep deprivation. For most mothers, you are dealing with increased stress. I mean, dealing with a newborn, especially if you're a first-time mom, there are so many things that you are new to. So I tell people, you see, those months after you first, focus on yourself, focus on managing stress, focus on getting support systems, focus on getting in your sleep. Because our mothers used to say this thing and we laugh. When the baby is sleeping, you sleep. But we don't do that because we feel, who will get all these things done? No, because managing stress whilst postpartum it's a game changer. Because when people talk about snapping back, I'm like, are you managing stress? Are you sleeping well? It's like you can do all the diets, because what happens then is that if you're not sleeping well, you start to crave sugar. You make unhealthy choices. When you are stressed, you can't be eating smoothies and you just grab
the nearest thing.
So I always tell people, focus on reducing stress, focus on getting your sleep in, focus on managing your routines, getting to know your baby. When I say these things, people make it sound, no, I want to snap. I'm like, no, this is what will make it easy for you to actually snap back in the long run. So I think that's important to say that it's normal, and then you just need to get those foundational things right. So those first 9 months, get those foundational things. And I always tell, personally, I don't try to, in quotes, snap back until after I have weaned.
Which is like about 9 months to a year?
Yeah, 9 months to a year. So once the children go, if I'm doing exclusive, so by 6 months, they move on to solids. So once they move on to solids, then I start to a bit initiate certain things, but not massively, because I know at least now they have an alternative source of feeding, so I can, my milk supply. And that's another thing, people say, start exercising, start cutting down calories, forgetting that if you are breastfeeding, that means the baby isn't getting it, will most likely not be getting enough milk and not quality milk.
Even if the baby is getting milk, what is his wisdom? You're the one, it might be affecting your health adversely.
Exactly. Exactly. So your body begins to dip into your own storage, your own nutrients that you would use for your own body to, keep the baby alive. You need to focus on yourself and focus on the baby for those early.
It's very important. I remember a friend of mine who has, she looks good, she looks fantastic. And I remember when I was like, hey, she's telling me what to do. She said, can you just feed your baby and leave me alone? I'm just saying, did you not just have a baby if you want to go? And it's just the truth,
That's what
we need to focus on what's important. Now, we need to also be responsible. A lot of time, I remember when I can't remember which of my pregnancies I think it was my third child. See enjoyment. Oh my goodness. The amount of pandemic they will load me with. I had this girl that lived with me. Hey, mommy, she'll come. She just loved cooking up a storm. And I told her to baby my for this enjoyment you're enjoying. What goes up must come down. You're going to have to lose it. So we need to be mindful as well. Not to overdo, but at the same time, focus on what's important. You've just brought a life into this world. You did not do it overnight. You built up that fat storage, gradually. Also, one thing I also realized, having children through different ages. I've had children in my 20s. I've had children in my 30s. And I will say something that the weight loss process was different for each child. With my first two, I didn't have to even do anything. It was just like, come on, And with my last, my youngest, it was a whole different ball game because of my age and everything, and what I was doing in life at that time. I had a busier schedule, and when you're busier, it's easier for you to get stressed and do stress. It's also your genetics are important, So if you're somebody who is naturally big, or it's in the family, you cannot expect to lose weight the same way. There's this auntie I have, then we used to call her, growing up, if we see any model or any people, will say, hey, see auntie, because she mentions of every model, and that's how she is till now. She's in her late, I think she should be 70, she's always looked, and that's her body. Even if she eats a whole bowl of this woman every day, because I've seen her eat. I was like, this woman eats, but that's her, that's how she is. She doesn't really add weight. So be kind to yourself, be realistic with your goals, set your goals, on how much you want to do, and try and be realistic about it. For me, what are some things you can do as you're setting realistic goals towards losing weight after you've had children? What are some ways you can help yourself?
Okay. So I think the first thing, and I think that's what drives what I do, is get yourself educated. One of the challenges I have when I tell people about, food and nutrition, and I think particularly in Nigeria, in this space, I find that people are so uneducated about food. It's amazing how, you hear people say some things, and I'm like, where did you hear that from? Like, oh, you can't eat this, you can't, and I'm like, where? So I would say, first, get yourself educated. Know the basics about nutrition. So, for instance, know your food groups. What are carbs? What are proteins? What are the animal sources of protein? What are the plant sources of protein? In what ratio should I consume these foods? I always tell people, if you think of food as energy, it would help you curtail how much you eat. So, for instance, I always tell people there really isn't such thing as too much food or too little food. The question is, how much energy do you need? So, for instance, you see a laborer, he's working on the site from morning to evening. He can consume apple morning, afternoon, night. He will not pile on the weight. Why? Because he's using the energy. So, these days, we find that food is so much more available now, but yet people have more sedentary lifestyles.
Very true.
So it is only normal that you need to just cut down on your food consumption. So one, get yourself educated. Know what food groups are. That's one. Then two, then know the foods to avoid. So for instance, you have refined foods generally. So you have things like, now it's about balance. And I always try to tell people these things, that for instance, if you say, white rice is refined, so it's bad. If you look at it in isolation, yes, but we never really eat white rice in isolation, do we? You eat it with your vegetables, your stew, your sauces. So it's about knowing, there's
the rice combinations.
Exactly. So there's this thing we used to talk about when we were much younger. We used to call it balanced diets. But now it seems everybody has forgotten all about balance. It's like, what's the healthy diet? And people have this notion that a healthy diet has to be like salads, it has to be some foreign things that are very expensive
and unavailable.
Unavailable. And then people are like, healthy eating is so expensive, and I'm like, who said so? Your eba and vegetable soup is just as healthy as any quinoa salad or whatever. Not only is it more available, it's innate to you.
Yes, you actually enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And you actually enjoy it, So there's no point people say, I want to lose weight, and they go and they start buying salads, things that they hate, they don't like eating. I always say, if your meal plan, if you're not enjoying your meals, that in itself is a stressor. It's a problem because you need to cook meals that you actually enjoy eating. So it's about finding out, okay, how do I combine my foods? How do I, what are the recommended portion guidelines, which is one thing we don't have in Nigeria.
We don't have.
People just serve food, and I'm just like, how do you want to finish this plate of food? You understand? So it's about getting all the information, knowing the food groups, how to portion your food. What quantity of carbs should I be eating? I always tell
as an adult.
You
can't eat the same way you're eating it when you were a teenager and you were playing football on the, you can't.
Exactly. You're living, look at your lifestyle. I'm sedentary. If you think about it, okay, today I'm going to be very busy at work. I'll probably be at my desk most of the time. Do you really need to have that heavy breakfast? So these are the conversations that we need to start having with ourselves. It's like, okay, like for instance, a cup of cooked rice is perfectly okay for an average adult. But people be like, but then it's how you balance it. If I have a cup of rice and by the side I have some vegetable soup, I have my protein. When people tell me that, I'm like, okay, have you tried eating that first and then say you are not satisfied? But what we do is we pile on the plates, and I always tell people we eat with our eyes first. So if you put a large plate of food before you, the chances that you will eat it even after you will continue eating even after you are full is much higher. But if you start off with a smaller portion and you realize that actually I'm full.
You're full.
Yeah, so it's about getting that knowledge. I think knowledge is key.
I also think we're also conditioned, talking about how you pile up a plate. A lot of us, because of the way we were raised, you must finish the food on the plate.
Yeah.
So you see, you put food on a plate, and even when you're full, something is telling you must finish the food on the plate because you're wasting food.
Yeah.
So it's better to start out with a small portion.
Exactly.
And you find that smaller portion might actually do the trick, and you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So
what other tips do you have apart from knowledge? Yes, knowledge is key.
Knowledge.
What else?
What would I say? in terms of it's knowledge, on top of knowledge.
Because that knowledge is key. I like the fact that it's key because, and there was something you said that is very important. A lot of the books that we, hitherto, we're reading a lot of books written by Nick Walsh, I'm just calling Oyibo names, and Sonia Jackson or whatever, people who are in other climes and they're talking about the food that they know. But thankfully, we're getting people like you and other people who are writing now using Nigerian foods that are, that we know. Because if we look at our, a lot of our grandparents down home, our great-grandparents, a lot of them are actually quite fit. And because they walk from here to here, they walk from there to there, and they're eating these same foods, and they're living very healthy and long lives. So I guess that knowledge of what can we eat, what are these foods, understanding the food. So you're not really condemning the food outright, but saying, okay, how can I eat it? What portion of this food can I eat? As an adult, do I really need 4 slices of yam? Or will 1 slice of yam with vegetables and all that, and local, all the lovely food that we had that is so rich and so healthy, would that do me, would that be good for me? Would that serve me instead of eating like this? So apart from that knowledge, I think the other thing that we can do to help us in terms of weight loss, living healthy lives, having healthy lifestyles. What other things can you think of?
One I would say is water.
Very good.
People underestimate the power of drinking water, staying hydrated. Like our body comprises, in fact, without water we are made up of water, basically, essentially. So, if you want, I will just tell people, whenever I start like, any coaching session with people, I always say, let's do a water challenge first. Get yourself properly hydrated. Another thing people don't realize is that thirst it actually mimics itself as hunger. So sometimes, because your body knows that when you eat, you would drink water. So sometimes when the body is thirsty, it triggers hunger. It triggers. So you tell yourself, I just feel like snacking something. I always tell people, before you snack, drink water. Staying hydrated, like it's a game changer, really even for weight loss, because you find out that, like I said, drinking water definitely helps, in regulating your appetite. And then sometimes you find out that if you drink water, by the time you eat, what happens when, let's say you drink like 30 minutes before a meal, your body is already gearing up for digestion. By the time the food comes, the triggers that say to your brain, I'm full, by the time they kick in quicker than if you had eaten. Exactly, if you had eaten in a dehydrated state, essentially. Water, I always tell people, water is key. And then movement. Yes, they say, every diet, your weight loss starts in the kitchen. Is 80% diet, food and 20% exercise, but movement is key. Movement is key. I always tell people there are simple things like taking the stairs rather than the lifts. Simple things like stopping a few steps. Especially Nigerians, like, we like to be dropped at our door. Like, this is where I'm going. Just drop me so I don't have to walk. So the minimum. I think for us moms as well, sending errands. At times I want to say, go and bring my laptop. I was like, you know what, Chiomah, go and get it yourself. You need to climb the stairs a bit. Go up and get that thing and come back down. Honestly. And I think movement. And then another thing that helps, I've noticed, now we're living in a technology age. So devices like trackers. Like today, I left something. I came upstairs and then I left something in the car. And then I was thinking, maybe I'll just send someone to go and get it, just like you were saying. And when I remember that actually I'm tracking my steps, more steps to do. I'll have more steps. I was happy to actually go down myself, because it means, I'm counting on, my steps, so getting a tracker for your movements. If you can get, phones are good, but your phones are not always with you. So sometimes, you might miss some steps because, of course, your phone was not with you, but, getting a tracker, really helps. And then another thing I would say is accountability groups.
Those help.
There's nothing like when you are doing things in private, there's a tendency for you to say, oh, let me just leave
Let me rest.
But when you know you have someone you're accountable to, or a group where you're accountable to, Facebook groups, that you post your pictures, you post your steps, these things might seem not unimportant, but they are actually great motivators. They actually help you stay accountable, which is what we need. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. I have a friend of mine, she lost a whole lot of weight. I'm talking upwards of like maybe 20 kg.
Wow.
And then she, in fact, her pictures are being used by scammers all over the place, saying she drank their slimming tea. Meanwhile, she put in the work and did it in a healthy way. And people have been telling her that you should start a fitness, a weight loss, whatever. You will really make money. And she said something very important. She said, she has thought about it, and she just felt, what, if I could find the secret, if I could find a pill, that I would give to people to make them stay committed and focused, because a lot of times people know what to do. It's about the consistency. So she said if she could get a consistency pill, she would be in the business by now, because it is about staying consistent. It's about the everyday choices you make. I know people want to lose 20 kg in 2 weeks, and I'm like, no. Like, you can't do that.
Not
even
possible.
Your body, it's not even healthy for your body. But it's about the gradual, everyday changes. It's like you say to yourself, okay, instead of just putting just rice and stew on my plate, okay, I'll reduce the rice, I'll put salad. And these habits, you can build them over time, because the habits that you build gradually, it's like building your house with bricks.
It's long lasting.
It's long lasting.
I love
But fad diets are like, sticks and hay and
and any huffing and puffing, you go back. You're back to ground zero, not even square one.
No, it's ground zero, and you have to start all over again. And you have so many fad diets now, and people lose weight, overnight. And then by the time, the problem with losing weight so quickly is that by the time you fall off, because you will eventually fall off, you pile on so much weight, and because your body has started distrusting you at that stage, because it's like what happened, okay, it begins to hold on to fat. So that the fat you gain post fat
will even be more.
It will be more, and then it will be more difficult to lose, because you have really created your body doesn't trust you anymore. It's like, I don't know what else she would do to me.
She won't eat again.
Let me just save myself, because I always tell, this body is so intelligent. Like, it's amazing. Like, because the body's primary role is to keep you alive.
Very true.
And it doesn't consult you. It doesn't say, oh, should I digest this?
No.
But you need to give it the raw materials it needs
to
keep you
healthy.
You're
the one that has the in control of the brain, so you have to make the right choices.
Exactly.
And feed your body
just give it the right things, and then your body will sort out the remaining. And that's one thing I always talk with, that your body actually knows how to burn fat.
It does. It
was
designed.
Exactly. If your body knows that this fat is unhealthy for you, it knows how to burn it, but you need to give it the right resources to do so.
Heaven helps those who help themselves. I guess we need to do that.
Exactly. You need to be conscious.
It's easy. It's consistent. Yes, consistent. I like. There's a book I read called Atomic Habits, one of my favorite books, and it talks about doing those atomic size habits, those little things, but they're so powerful. And what makes them powerful is the consistency. We've all been there. You want to start this thing. I want to now make sure my room is very tidy. And you go one day, do one spring cleaning, and then the next day you throw this one here, you throw that one there. Instead of every day, if you had said, okay, every day I will pick up something and arrange, you will be better off, and it becomes part of you. Now, talking about a lot of women who go, who work, especially in offices, where you have a lot of people, somebody's eating granuts, somebody is like, come, my boss to you. Somebody has brought there's one kunu that is going around. There's all sorts of things happening, and maybe things you probably not even eat at home, but you're eating them at work. And I have a memory of going to my mom's office, and there was this lady, they were eating. My mom and her friends, somebody brought something, they were eating, and they offered her. She said, no. And they're like, this woman, you're so disciplined. Not for you. But I saw her recently, because my parents, even now I see my parents' mates, I know that she's still looking the same way she looked years ago. She's looking so good. Wow. So that discipline has paid off. She's looking very good. She's not added, much, and not just about the whole weight thing, just even your for your health benefits. So how can we in the workplace, because sometimes you go to work, like I said, you didn't plan to eat that thing, but you see somebody and you're like, this biscuit, how can you
curtail? That's a very good question. Funny enough, I did a reel today on Instagram, and I was talking about meal prepping. You see this saying that says, if you if you don't
Fail to plan.
if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I showed a video about everything I take to work, because yes, you are going to be in the office for like 8 hours for most of us. If you don't prepare what you will eat,
Anything
you will
that comes
eat
your
what
way.
you find. So I always tell people, the number one thing before you even start wanting to curtail your appetite, the question is, do you have what to eat? Have you prepared what you are going to eat in the office? So now I go to the office with my lunch bag, I have my breakfast in there, I have my smoothie, I have my lunch, and I have a snack. And someone comes with suya. The chances of me declining is much higher
than if you
than
were hungry, you had nothing.
Yes, because we are only human.
Waiting for the delivery man to bring food.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know how delivery people can be, like they can take forever. So the number one thing I would say to that is prepare your meals from home. Plan what you would eat, one. And then two, also create an atmosphere of accountability within the office. So if people know that, if you've already put yourself out there that, okay, I eat in a certain way, I eat healthily, or I eat, people might not even offer you, say, she will probably not eat, she will probably not eat. So also, sometimes when you become public about your choices, people respect them. Yeah, people respect your boundary, because you begin, and you might be the one to say, let me just have one, but then let people know that, okay, this is what I'm about, this is how I eat, this is how I do my things. So one, prepare, and then number two, create an accountability boundaries for yourself, so that people don't just keep shoving things down your throat.
You want to eat. I think that happen. I can relate, because the days I don't prepare, the days I don't plan, and it's everything. Even when you know what you want to wear to work, the days you don't plan, you find out in the morning, or anything you see, you just carry one trouser and wear. But the days you plan, you pre-plan, and say, this is what I'm going to eat today. It happens. Because if you want to use a delivery, meals by delivery, make sure you plan as well. That you know that this person, okay, the food will come here at so and so time. Because if you see yourself 1 o'clock, you're hungry. The food has not come. Okay, what do you have? Okay, okay.
Do you have this?
Okay, okay, let me eat it. Biscuits. Bring anything that comes your way, you eat, and you find yourself, all those your plans, have shattered that, because you didn't really plan properly. So I think that's important. And then also talking about snacking, because that's a big thing. For someone like me, I am a foodie, and I enjoy food. I think that's one thing, is that we find ourselves just eating anyhow. If you want to eat the one that you will enjoy. That's what I believe in that one. Don't waste your calories. But snack, how can we, what are some healthy snack options